Tennis is full of incredible athletes achieving amazing things. However, it is also sometimes filled with some outrageous freakouts. In today's video, we're going to specifically hone in on one of today's greatest tennis stars, Novak Djokovic, and take a look at some of his craziest racket smashes and what led up to him feeling the need to destroy his own equipment. Stick around because this is going to be one hilarious video. First up, Djokovic has a tough rally at the Western and Southern Open. Back in 2015, Djokovic found himself in a deep 3-0 hole to David Goffin in the Western and Southern Open in Cincinnati. Djokovic played an okay first set, but then had what could be the worst 45 minutes of tennis I think he has ever played in his entire career. He was missing serves long, he was failing to return serves, he simply just could not play tennis. And this resulted in him smashing his racket against the ground not once, not twice, but 3 times. He smashed and destroyed the first racket after he failed to make a serve, sending it long out of the court. The second one came from him losing a long rally when he put an easy return directly into the net. And the third one came from another failed rally. Djokovic has nobody to blame but himself, and his racket apparently, as he took out his anger so many times that it eventually drew a warning and he was forced to stop breaking rackets. Well, either the warning woke him up where the last racket he used was finally the right one, because he ended up coming back from the huge deficit to win the match and move on to the tournament's quarterfinal match. Djokovic was not happy with his play, but was happy to have come back and won the match, saying after the tournament, "It was a solid first set, but whatever happened in the next 45 minutes, I don't want to remember it." He then continued on by saying, "I wasn't on the court. You know, I just lost the intensity and concentration. Luckily for me, I managed to bounce back, dig myself out of this hole I was in." What is even worse is that David Goffin had a record of 1-20 against top 10 competition, so the numbers were on Djokovic's side for this match. Unfortunately for Goffin, who had a good chance to improve his record and his placement in the world rankings, he simply could not match the anger and intensity from Djokovic following his racket murder spree, and he fell to 1-21 against top 10 players and was eliminated from the tournament. Long story short, if you're playing bad, start smashing things and maybe you'll wake up. Shanghai Masters get the best of Djokovic and his rackets. In October of 2016, Novak Djokovic played in the semi-final match of the Shanghai Masters tournament, and to say the least, things went poorly for the superstar. Djokovic was facing off against Roberto Bautista Agut, and the two were locked into a long rally. Both players were making good cross-court shots, and it looked like neither player was gonna make a mistake, until Djokovic made a big one that you could argue eventually cost him the game and the tournament win. Djokovic sent a ball out wide on what seemed like a relatively easy ball to return. It was not much faster than what he had already been returning, and it was not a crazy difficult shot. He just simply sent it wide. Well, that of course sent him into a blinding rage that caused him to not only smash his racket to smithereens, he also tore his shirt clean off his body. Djokovic ripped his shirt at the collar, which caused it to awkwardly hang down off of him. But the funniest part about the entire incident is that the shirt ripping forced Djokovic to change his shirt, as he couldn't properly play with all the loose clothing hanging off of him. The umpire then had no choice but to hit Djokovic with a time violation while he was changing his shirt, which just added wood to the already raging fire. Djokovic then had some words to say about the umpire at the end of the match, claiming that the umpire was the star of the show. That's what he wanted to be today. But if you ask me, the only diva who demanded to be his center of attention at that particular match was Djokovic, the player who destroyed a racket and tore his shirt off of his body. But sure, let's blame the umpire for giving him a much-deserved foul. As I mentioned earlier, Djokovic ended up losing the match, but I would say that he also lost a bit of dignity and respect following his performance at the 2016 Shanghai Masters. An epic showdown with Rafael Nadal causes a racket casualty at the Italian Open. At the 2019 Italian Open final match, Djokovic faced off against fellow tennis superstar Rafael Nadal. The first set went far from Djokovic's way as Nadal cruised to an easy shutout win, ensuring that Djokovic got no momentum or even a single rally point. But in the second set, Djokovic turned things around and ended up winning in a dramatic fashion. It all came down to the third set. Winner take all in the final, and of course, it looked like Djokovic had all the momentum. And as long as he kept his errors to a minimum, he could take the tournament win. But in the third set, Nadal broke Djokovic at the love point to take the very early lead, and that sent Djokovic off the edge, and it sent his racket into a different plane of existence. Djokovic smashed his racket until it was unrecognizable from its previous form, while at the same time essentially forfeiting the momentum he had previously built up. Nadal obviously could see that he was rattled and clearly ready to give in to his anger and emotions, rather than use them to sharpen his focus and win the match. Of course, Djokovic went on to lose the match for the reasons I just outlined. But what is even worse is prior to the match, Djokovic was asked about the other players at the tournament, and Djokovic went out of his way to name Nadal as his greatest opponent of all time. He even said that every time they play each other, it is a close match, and that Nadal continues to do all he can to prove to tennis fans why he is one of the best players on the planet. Well, Djokovic was certainly right about one thing. Watching these two play each other at the 2019 Italian Open certainly was a thrill, but not for the reasons I'm sure Djokovic would have wanted it to have been. The Tokyo Olympics proved too much for Djokovic and his rackets to handle. The 2020-2021 Tokyo Olympics were already filled with a bunch of drama thanks to COVID-19, the Russian doping scandal, and now all of that drama drama and chaos has to be upstaged by Djokovic losing his cool during the men's single bronze medal match. Djokovic found a way to keep his cool when he lost the match that would have sent him to the gold medal final to fellow competitor Alexander Zverev, but somehow couldn't keep it composed when he was playing for the bronze. Djokovic was facing off against Pablo Carreno Busta for the bronze medal in what was one of the best matches of the year. The match went on for 2 hours and 47 minutes, with both men doing their best to not give up any easy points. Both of these competitors wanted the bronze medal and would stop at nothing to win it. Djokovic, however, made the first costly mistake in the third and deciding set as he watched a break point and a chance to take the lead come and go. Djokovic figured that it was time to switch out his rackets, I guess, because he decided to toss his racket right into the empty seats. Following this breakdown, he had another, much more obscene breakdown as he smashed his racket against the net post, following an easy missed shot up close at the net. The judge gave him a warning after he bludgeoned his racket, but at that point, Djokovic was too far gone. The anger had already set in, and he ended up losing the hard-fought match and going home without a medal. What makes this entire situation even funnier is only months prior to this incident, Djokovic was once again playing Busta, but at the US Open, when he angrily hit a straight ball after losing a point, and the ball went and smoked one of the line girls. This, of course, is a direct violation regardless of the intent, which he obviously had none. But regardless, Djokovic was ejected from the tournament, so maybe it has something to do with Busta that causes Djokovic to lose his mind. Or maybe Djokovic is just a bit of a crazy competitor. Following his singles loss, he was set to play in the double bronze medal game, but he and his partner withdrew prior to the match, citing a shoulder injury on behalf of Djokovic as the reason of their early departure from the tournament. We are unsure if that was the real reason, but regardless, Djokovic will probably want to do his best to forget the 2020-2021 Tokyo Olympic Games ever happened. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the content, and we will see you all in the next video.